TrueOffMyChest. Surgeon made fun of my penis. I 32 at the time am a big dude of 2 and 120 kg, 6'6", 250 lbs in drunk pirate units and had to have surgery on my calves because of varicose veins. So the day of, I was told to get completely undressed and put on the generic open-back gown, which due to my frame made me look like Donald Duck, if you know what I mean. I was led to the OR by a nurse and placed on a cold metal table. They administered some local anesthesia to my legs, and after about 10 minutes, laying naked in a cold, brightly lit room waiting to be sliced up, the 2 doctors strolled in. I was very anxious, cold, and self-conscious, so I just stayed still. Nurse anesthesia was given, patient ready. Doc 1 walks to the table, wow, big fucker and such a small dick. Doc 2, haha. Me what? Nurse panic, oh no, you have the wrong patient file, this one isn't the fully sedated one. He is awake. Doc 1, Doc 2. Me what? So yeah, nobody said another word to me for the rest of the operation, just 200 decibels of awkward silence while they ripped veins out of me. It felt like Ricky Gervais wrote this scene. I should have walked out, but I was too shocked to even think. When they were done, they exchanged quiet words with the nurse and quickly walked out. It was a bit shocking, but I quickly laughed it off. I mean, they weren't wrong, but man, some people. Edit, this was 10 years ago, I am fine. TrueOffMyChest. My younger brother was creepily obsessed with me to a weird fucking degree, and I only realize that now. I 27F have been in therapy for a few years, trying to heal as an adult from my traumatic childhood. And one of the more shocking realizations that I've come to is just how much of the chronic bullying and abuse I endured had to have been absurdly time-consuming and required so much effort. Viewing the chronic harassment I endured as a child with my logical adult brain means realizing just how insane and pathetic it all was. All the family members that swore they loathed me and wanted me dead were literally obsessed with me, but none compared to my youngest brother. My brother absolutely tormented me, like my tears were his only water supply. He would sneak into my room and steal my personal belongings, spend hours outside my bedroom door, laughing and giggling with his friends to keep me awake at night, destroy any art supplies or technology I was given on birthdays or holidays. And he just generally on a daily basis could not leave me alone for 1 second. Once, when I was forced to clean his room as punishment for a fight he started, I discovered that his closet was literally just a massive pile of my stolen things. He was stockpiling them. I wish I was kidding or making this shit up. It was weird AF. I remember getting this weird knot in my stomach like I couldn't fathom why a person who spent so much energy hating me so much would want to hold on to all my personal belongings, and just feeling really strange about it. I tried to point out how obsessive his behavior was to my mother, but she favored him as he was the baby of the family and would never hear it and was convinced I just had it out for him. And even when I found physical evidence, she would just refuse to even look at it. He was deeply envious of my hobbies, especially my art, and actively sought to destroy anything I drew until I became deeply protective of my art, hiding it away in school notebooks where he wouldn't look just so he couldn't find it and rip it up. Eventually, I transitioned to digital art, and he would just resort to trying to steal my devices, whatever I had. He wanted it and would throw tantrums about how unfair it was that I got to have it, and he didn't, which was really strange because the very few nice things I was given by my mom and aunts were always for my hobbies, namely art. In comparison, my youngest brother had 0 creative hobbies, but was given anything else he asked for, such as numerous gaming consoles. He took terrible fucking care of them BTW, often breaking them on purpose just for the power trip, and was always given a new one in a heartbeat. It wasn't openly talked about, but my mother didn't agree with me having technology basically at all, and had about the same attitude with my sisters. As a result, I was only permitted to have devices like a cell phone or laptop very sparingly, and I was often discouraged from playing video games in favor of my brothers. I only remember once or twice anyone in my family openly saying the classic video games are for boys, nonsense. But it was pretty obvious that was what was going on, as it was extremely rare for me to get a turn on the Xbox, and I begged and pleaded for DS for years and years, while my brothers received new ones every year, if not every 6 months or so. This is all to say, my youngest brother got way more privileges at home than I did. But for some reason he was wildly envious of anything art-related that I had, and he didn't. Despite the fact that he had 0 interest in my hobbies whatsoever. He never drew anything, Never painted anything. Never wanted to make digital illustrations, animations, nothing, even ranted about how stupid. But all of it, he was deeply determined to destroy and take from me for some reason. At one point, he even got my mother to forcibly take away my laptop that I used for animations and give it to my youngest brother, which is insane. Just the fact that my mother fed and vindicated this obsession was by far the weirdest part. But once he finally had my laptop, which he had obsessed over and attempted to steal or destroy several times over by now, he didn't have anything to do with it, because all the games he liked playing could be played on other consoles. He didn't even like PC games, and the laptop was a basic one with no special gaming upgrades. So, shocker, the laptop dedicated to my basic 2D digital drawings, and could barely process even that, was not necessarily more exciting or useful than a basic smartphone or iPod Touch for someone with literally zero original ideas. So once he had it, he just destroyed it, smashed it to bits with gardening tools like a deranged maniac, so determined to upset me when he realized it didn't benefit him in any way. He was that obsessed that he would destroy something that was literally now his just to upset someone else. I caught him numerous times sneaking into my room, and I begged my mom to give me a proper lock and key to keep him out, but she would just refuse, saying then I could lock her out too. She was also a nightmare, but that's neither here nor there. Sometimes he would spy on me, and then tell others something embarrassing I did, while I thought no one was in the room, like sing a cringy song or something like that. Which was just so weird, as if he just had nothing better to do than fucking watch me do boring, cringy shit. Looking back on all this, it's certifiable. My youngest brother didn't just loathe me, he borderline stalked me. I want to contextualize that many of this happened when he was 10 and I was 16. It's just insane that no one ever took any of this seriously. There were more things like this that just made me feel really weird, but I have trouble remembering them as I've buried them. True off my chest. In 5 days I'm coming clean, and it will probably end my marriage. TL Doctor, my marriage isn't over, but I don't think it will ever be the same. First, thank you to everyone that replied and messaged. I read every single one. I appreciated the hopeful comments and identified with the harsh ones. I'm no angel in this story. So some extra info. My husband has a very high-intensity job and travels frequently. I took over the bills, so nothing would get lost in the shuffle when he was away from home and he could focus on what he needed to focus on. Insert joke here, right? I was a complete wreck last week. I barely slept, was physically anxious, and was both absolutely dreading Friday, but also couldn't wait for it to just get here already. Fortunately, my husband was on a work trip, and my kids were busy with basketball, friends, theater, etc., and were barely home. I barely ate and lost like 3 lbs that I've been stuck on. Not recommended for a diet plan. Friday we planned to each work a half day, then have some lunch and look at our budget for the year. Tax returns were pretty decent, and my husband got a good annual bonus, so it made sense to see what was what. He was already talking about throwing some in a CD or investment, and I just felt ill. Friday comes and he comes home with In-N-Out and a chocolate shake for me, and I just lost it. Full-on sobbing. It freaked the hell out of him and took me like 10 minutes to get myself under control. Then I spilled it all. I started with "I love you and I'm sorry" and just let fly. That wasn't my plan. I had a whole thing written down to make sure I didn't miss anything, and it didn't matter at all. To his incredible credit, he just sat there in shock and listened. Then he definitely underreacted and went directly to "we'll fix it together" mode. He wanted some time to absorb what I'd said, and then wanted to work through our accounts, one by one, to see what was actually up, and he wanted to do this alone. Then we'd come up with a plan. I let him be and just did some cleaning and laundry. After maybe 45 minutes, I heard him leave the house with a door slam. I wasn't about to chase him down after he asked for space to process. I did look at the computer, and it was a list of all our outstanding balances. To everyone guessing figures, here you go. I assumed it would be 60K based on my rough math, but I had forgotten a couple I had on autopay. $96,000 in debt that he had no idea about. He messaged me a while later that he was going to stay by his mom for the night and would be back to pack a bag, and that he would rather not talk yet. I respected that and made myself scarce. He came home the next day and we manufactured some time alone to talk by sending the kids out to run errands. The oldest can drive and loves any excuse. The heart-to-heart was basically this: I fucked up royally here, but he shouldn't have checked out completely and let it get to this point. He is going to take over our finances. We're going to do a HELOC or second mortgage for all the recurring stuff and buckle down hard. We will review everything together at least twice a month. We will do marriage counseling together. I agreed to absolutely every term and condition. I honestly thought he wasn't going to come back. Things are chilly at best right now, and I am so desperately sorry and sick over the hurt I caused. At the same time, there is a deep sense of relief that, whatever happens, I'm no longer lying about it, and everything is out in the open. Maybe he'll still decide that he can't move on, but I'm going to own whatever happens. True off my chest, struggling with a fetish that makes me feel ashamed. This is a throwaway account, because I'm not comfortable sharing this from my main. I am 30, get aroused by the stories my girlfriend F24 tells me about her sexual experiences. She has only been with two people, her ex-boyfriend, who was her boyfriend at the time, and me. At first, she didn't refuse to share them, but when I started asking her to tell me during sex to help me finish, she began to feel uncomfortable and started saying no. When she refuses to tell me her stories, it discourages me from wanting to have sex with her. I realize that most people wouldn't find this arousing, and it makes me feel conflicted about my own feelings. Part of me feels guilty for needing it to feel satisfied, and I'm not sure how to deal with that. I just needed to get this off my chest, and I'm hoping to hear from others who might have dealt with something similar, or have any advice on how to handle these feelings. I might not reply to comments because this is really hard for me to talk about, but I appreciate any support or perspective. True off my chest. My girlfriend is beyond stupid, and I feel like I might have to end the relationship. Okay. When I first met my girlfriend, I noticed she sometimes made misjudgments, but I didn't think much of it. Now that we've been together 2 years, I realize how stupid she is. That might sound harsh, but that's the only word I can think of. We will go downtown to some place she wants to go, and she will walk down a street and be like, oh, wait, wrong way. Then walk down another street and be like, oh no, wrong way. Then walk down another street and be like, oops, wrong way again. It's horrible. She has no sense of direction, and I feel so stupid following her around. She also talks in circles, which makes me so angry. Like for an example, yesterday she asked me, do you want a burrito for dinner? Then I replied, we don't have the ingredients for a burrito, so I'm going to eat the food we have in the house. She then asks, oh, so you don't want a burrito? So I thought maybe she bought ingredients for a burrito, so I said, sure, I'll have a burrito. She then says, okay, but we don't have the ingredients for a burrito. Like, yes, I know that. Her stupidity makes me treat her worse, which I hate because I don't want to be rude to people. But sometimes the way she talks and acts just infuriates me. I also feel more slow and held down when I'm with her. Like when she makes a dumb decision, I'm usually around her, so I have to help her correct her mistake. Anytime I do something alone, I feel a huge wave of happiness go through my body, because I don't feel held back from her behavior. Overall, she's a good person, but I honestly don't think I can continue a relationship with her. Her misjudgments cause me so much financial loss and general stress. True off my chest. A guy asked me out, but I'm not gay. I 18M had been talking with this guy who was a couple years older for a few days. We didn't know each other that well, but he was easy to talk to. Then he suddenly asked me if I wanted to be his boyfriend. He said he already thought I was hot, but showed a sweet romantic side and treated him the way he wanted to be treated. I was a little surprised by this because I thought we were just messing around and having fun. I told him that I was flattered, but just didn't see him that way. However, still thought he was great and asked if we could keep talking. He seemed to take this well, but then ghosted me the next day. I didn't know him that well, so the ghosting didn't have much of an impact on me. But the thing is, that was the first time anyone's ever asked me out. And I guess deep down, I'm a little worried that was the only time anyone will. I know you can't control who you're attracted to or what gender, but still it gets to me a bit. I don't really have anyone to talk to about this, so it's nice to get it out here. True off my chest. I bought my wife a new shirt because the store wouldn't accept a refund. I am a horrible secret keeper, so I'm posting here to just get it out. My wife and I attended a convention. We don't typically do a lot of extracurricular things due to budget constraints, but we decided to splurge and bought some cute matching shirts. They were pre-wrapped, so we didn't look at them until we got home and went to wash them about 3 days after the convention. Mine was okay, but hers had a giant stain on it. I reached out to the vendor about getting a replacement or a refund, and they said reasonably that too much time has passed since the convention to be able to prove that we didn't stain it. I didn't have the heart to tell her that they said no, So I secretly went onto their website and ordered a new one for her. It arrived today, and I told her they sent a replacement. They are Asia-based, so the shipping was 2x cost the shirt itself, but seeing her so excited, I'd do it again. Best $100 I've spent. Edit, wow, I didn't expect anyone to read this, never mind having it blow up. Thank you for all the words of love. True off my chest. My parents don't want me to move out, 19. My BF 20 and I have been dating for over 2 years now. He runs a small business and is slowly growing it. I was planning on going to school, but I ended up getting into doing hair and also small-scale online influencing. We both have been saving money and been really excited to move out together. My BF and I found a really cute apartment exactly in the area we want. The thing is, it was going to be gone soon, so my BF jumped on it. Right now, my BF lives there and we split rent. It sucks, I just go over to visit in the meantime as I'm in a sort of disagreement with my parents. They don't want me to move out, and they don't want me to move in with a guy. They both are stuck in their mindsets and just go at me about it. It certainly isn't a healthy environment for me. I stayed so far because I really don't want to upset them further and have them cut ties with me. I don't want to lose my parents. They claim I'm young and what I'm doing is stupid. They hardly ever support me mentally. Just getting this off my chest, sorry? True off my chest. Parents sat me and my little brother down for a talk, and now my whole world is falling apart. Hello, I know it's been forever since my original post. I honestly don't even know how to start this off. Since my original post was 2 months ago, I figured an update was probably needed since I left so much in the dark. Over these 2 months, my dad has moved out and is living somewhere else. Me and my brother go over there after school and hang out until our mom can pick us up. They still act cordial in front of me and Tyler, but they have so much built-up tension it's concerning. But on New Year's, or like at 1-ish on January 1st, I tried to talk to my dad since he and Tyler, my little brother, got into an argument about lighting off fireworks. I had gone downstairs since I thought I could talk to my dad and get his side of the story and just talk since he is my dad. But he had been drinking way more than I have ever seen my dad drink before. So when I went to talk to him, things took a sideways turn. My dad had ended up saying some words, and the words he said still really fucking hurt. What he said to me really cut deep. He told me, I hate my life. I'm stuck in a shitty job, a shitty marriage. I have a son who treats his mom like shit. And then you. I have a daughter who is a piece of shit. When I found out I was going to have a daughter as my first kid, I was so excited. I thought I would have a daughter who loved to fish, hunt, and be hardworking. Instead, I got a fucking snowflake of a daughter who doesn't like anything, is a worthless, lazy piece of shit, who expect her parents to bend over backwards for her. I got a daughter who doesn't give a fuck and is just nothing but a bitch. That cut so fucking deep. And I hear those words in the back of my mind so much. And I haven't even really had a chance to really process the whole split with my parents. Because right after I was told, my mom told me that I had to be strong for my brother since this is really hard for him. So I had to grow up and swallow the fact that my parents are taking a break. So I tried to turn to my boyfriend, now ex, for comfort and support. Instead, I got a couple comforting words and telling me it's going to be okay. Then he proceeded to tell me about his problems and how he got shot in the knee. If anyone wants the story on this shit, please let me know. Because at this point, I need to talk. Because I can't afford a therapist. And I'm going to explode if I don't let this shit out. I haven't gotten a break since this whole problem at Christmas. I get a Christmas present of my parents splitting. I start the new year with my dad telling me he hates me. Later, I finally have enough with my toxic boyfriend and decide to leave him, and the police end up getting involved. Literally, the only good thing about any of this shit is that I currently have a new boyfriend who is loving and supportive, and doesn't gaslight, verbally and mentally abuse me, and will actually listen to me and all my problems. And I had my 15th in February as well. If anyone wants more context, I have much more, but it's currently 2:19 in the morning, and I haven't gotten a good night's sleep in about a week and a half. Thank you to anyone and everyone who takes the time to read this mess of words. I hope you all have an amazing day-night. True off my chest. I blew up my wife's family yesterday. I have a trans son. They came out sometime back in 2014-2015. My wife's family has never been too keen on the idea, but we managed a lukewarm truce until they graduated high school. That ended last night. People started dogpiling my wife on a social media post, and once the attacks got personal, my name got drug in, because I have had my angry eyes in over social media for a few months. And I snapped. They were abusing my wife for some dumb shit I posted to deal with my anger. So I told them all the truth about how bullshit it was that we were constantly being gaslit into thinking they accept my son for who they are, but even after 7 years, they still can't use their preferred name. Of course, that self-righteous anger rarely feels good the next day. Sure, I felt vindicated, but my wife is devastated. Her family has abused her entire life, but to her, they are still family. I can't stand them because they are those reformed drug addicts that now think they are better than everyone else. But she loves them, and she is devastated. As much as I can't stand her family, I really regret telling them how I actually thought of them over this issue with my son. Because it won't fix anything. It's just going to make shit worse, and the only person that is going to suffer is my wife. True off my chest. I genuinely don't like people, and it's causing me to become a damn near recluse. Growing up, I didn't have the good fortune of growing up in a well-adjusted family. Multiple people in my family were toxic hot messes that never sought to improve their lives, or get appropriate therapy, or find ways to remedy their own issues. I was always a kid who spoke my mind and who called out my toxic mum's behavior and anyone around me. She would then tell everyone I was a disobedient, problematic child, and other family or friends would reprimand me even though she was lying. She only wanted to destroy my reputation. She only did this to make sure she would shut me up. For good. My dislike for people has grown because toxicity happens all over the world. Toxic people never having the awareness to get help or do better. When people say most people are good people, that is a goddamn lie. It's simply impossible in terms of how many people don't have basic self-awareness and basic emotional intelligence. I loathe how people are incapable of empathizing with one another or working together to create change in a good way. I hate how people screw each other over in relationships through complete dishonesty, disregard for the other person, cheating, lying, using and hurting the other person. Complete cruelty. Why? It goes back to the very beginning of my post. Toxic parents, toxic family. Most people are not good people. I've seen and experienced too many things to think differently at this point in life. I am irritated with how people are also passive. I mean, damn. The building I live in, management takes gross advantage of tenants. They constantly violate the terms of tenants' leases and then dare you to take actions to protect yourself. I live in a building of over 400 tenants, yet people only complain to each other about major issues and never take real action to change their circumstances. It is not in me to sit and complain all day without taking action. I simply don't understand how people operate in life like this. Fully grown adults just sitting back and allowing the worst to happen to them or other people. I had my own situation to deal with concerning management. When I get angry, I get really angry, and I take very calculated extreme measures to remedy the problem quickly. Another tenant heard how I stood up to management and was in shock. All I thought was, WTF, are you in shock about? All I did was speak. The truth, get a lawyer. And I followed through on creating boundaries and followed through on any threats if they stepped out of line. People have the same ability to stand up for themselves, but they don't. They won't. A lady tenant in my building said, "You seem intelligent," then proceeded to trauma dump all of her grievances about the building management onto me. I asked her if she wanted to brainstorm solutions to fight the issues, or if she just wanted to vent. I basically told her I didn't want to hear it if all she wanted to do was complain and not do anything. Then she got upset with me and started going off. I'm a very solution-oriented person, so complaining without a plan is counterproductive to me. I don't understand the blatant world of passivity people live in. People will let human rights disasters happen right in front of them. They will allow the complete decline and fall of democracy. They will allow multiple entities to take advantage of them and literally do absolutely nothing to stop it. So for the past 2 years now, I pretty much have been a recluse. I disappeared off of social media. I've stopped reaching out to people. And I don't care to socialize mostly at all. I'm just sick and tired of people. They are so entirely disappointing. Anyone else feeling this way? True off my chest. I'm breaking up with my girlfriend today. I'm looking forward to it. Throwaway because you never know. On mobile, so maybe weird formatting. I have decided that after last night, I'm going to break up with my girlfriend. Truthfully, this should have happened a long time ago, and I should have never gotten back with her after the first time. I-22M have been dating my soon-to-be ex-GF-21F for a little over a year and a half. Last night, we had an argument because I decided to stay an extra day at my aunt's since it's the beginning of spring break. I see my aunt once a year, twice if I'm lucky. Initially, the plan was for me to leave yesterday evening to drive back to my uni town, as I have work all this week. My aunt convinced me to stay, as she said she'd pay me whatever I make in a day's work. She lives on the coast, so why wouldn't I take pay to fish for another day off of her dock? Well, I text my GF this, and she's not happy whatsoever. She was at work and said she'd call me after she was off. Well, once she gets off, she proceeds to yell and argue with me. To boil it all down, this was her argument. I never have enough time for her. I see her almost every evening during the week. I bailed on our plans. Again, for family. My family comes first, especially those I hardly see. We are not married, so I'm not going to prioritize someone I've known maybe 3 years over my family I've known my entire life. I'm a liar. I was upfront with her about the entire ordeal of me staying. I don't respect her or her time. I am going to see my family for every second I can. Family is very important to me. I had an GF a long time ago that physically separated me from them, and I told myself I would never let anyone do that to me again. I tried to articulate to my GF that this was a spur-of-the-moment decision. She again called me a liar and said that I planned this from the beginning. That when I stay late with my parents and younger sister, I plan from the beginning that I'll lie to her and stay late. Which isn't the case. The entire thing just made my blood boil. She was saying that it's not because of my family or me seeing them, but what else could it be? I see her almost every evening. The only times I don't are because I am very involved on campus, have hard classes, and need to maintain a good GPA for grad school. So I study or am practicing a hobby or working. I mean, she's painting it, at least to me, that she wants me all to herself, and I can't do that. I won't do that. This isn't a new thing. It's been like this for many months. Every time I go home to see my parents and younger sister once a month or so, this happens. She gets mad. She calls me a liar. Says I don't respect her or her time. I'm fed up. I've already talked to her about this. We had a conversation last week about this. I'm done. I'm tired of it. I no longer see a future with her, and she is no longer the woman I thought I loved. I'm leaving my aunt's tonight. I'm going to send my GF a text on her cell. We usually use Snapchat to talk, and then block her number once it is delivered. I am going to articulate that I will not put up with her behavior and her driving a wedge between me and my family for her. As I already told her, I wouldn't do that ever again for anyone. I'm going to say that if it's an issue, then she needs to find someone else that isn't me. I had fun while it lasted, and I hope she does excellent in applying for vet school and her future endeavors. I do not want to talk to her or hear from her again. Even though we live in the same apartment complex, I do not want her at my door ever. Maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe I'm being harsh. But I've already had someone divide me from seeing my family, and I won't let it happen again. I'm just so tired of it all. TLDR, soon-to-be ex-GF21F gets angry and argues with me, 22M, for staying an extra day with my aunt that I hardly see. After an argument last night, I've concluded that this isn't okay, and I will be breaking up with her this evening over the phone. TrueOffMyChest. Babysitting interview felt off. Am I just being paranoid? I 20F have been babysitting for over a decade, and I've worked with all kinds of kids. But this was the first time I left a babysitting interview feeling genuinely unsettled. The more time I spent with this child, the more I felt like something wasn't right. Maybe I'm overthinking, but I can't shake this feeling. At first, everything seemed normal. The mom was nice. She was very welcoming. However, a few minutes into our conversation, she casually mentioned they had a previous babysitter and something bad happened. She wouldn't explain because her daughter picks up on everything. That immediately made me wonder what I was walking into. When I arrived, the little girl, almost 5, wasn't just shy, she acted like she didn't want me there. I brought a small coloring book as a gift, and she ignored it completely. While we wrapped a present for her best friend, she rejected every suggestion I made, adding stickers, etc. I understand that meeting a new person who could potentially be in your life can be a huge transition for a child. I just felt like the vibe was a little bit off. Then things got weird. She grabbed a drawing she had made, asked her mum to hold it up, and out of nowhere, she stabbed the mouth with scissors. Then she stuck her fingers in the hole and called it a paper puppet. That threw me off. I gently tried to redirect her energy by making a small Hello Kitty puppet from the coloring book. I brought something fun and light-hearted. Luckily, I was able to divert her attention from the violent behavior and towards something more appropriate. At one point, she got red marker all over her hands and refused to clean them. Instead, she ran around touching everything while her mom begged her to clean up. Eventually, her mom was able to get her to wash her hands. But it really made me pause and think. Later in her playroom, she randomly said, "My mom's dad died." That alone wouldn't have been so strange, except he passed away before she was even born. She never met him. After that, every single make-believe game revolved around hospitals, dying, and things not coming back to life. One of her characters even faked being sick just to go to the hospital. It wasn't just one dark-themed game, it was every game. Then came the moment that really unsettled me. We were playing ball, and she kept telling me to back up. Every time I did, she told me to go back more. I turned around and realized I was standing right in front of the staircase. And then she told me to keep going. For a split second, I genuinely felt like she was trying to make me fall back. I stopped and told her I couldn't go any further. At the end, she also threw the ball at the cat. I left feeling really conflicted. And then the mom texted my boyfriend's mom saying, "OMG, she's so sweet. She's so good with kids." And while that was nice to hear, it left me feeling stuck. I always do my best to be patient and kind, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Part of me wants to give this another chance and perhaps talk to the mum about it. I don't know how to feel about any of this. Have any of you had a situation like this? Am I overthinking? Or were there actual red flags here? Edit any thoughts on how I should go about calling the mother tomorrow. I want to be honest, but I only met her once. It's only out of concern.